This is my history fair project on the KKK. This first picture shows the many members of the KKK lining up in the middle of the street, protesting for segregation because that is what they wanted. This next picture shows the Ku Klux Klan burning a cross to show that they hated many religions. This also started a lot of conflicts because they did something called the Mississippi Burning in 1964, June 16th, where they burned down a black church in Longdale, Mississippi that caused the injury of 22 people and the death of 4 girls. It's sad, but that's how they would protest and show their hate towards many races except for white. This next drawing here shows 2 Ku Klux Klan members holding weapons that they used to kill or harm African Americans, such as guns, shovels, axes, and many other weapons. When they went out to commit a crime, they would usually wear white masks that cover their entire faces, like the ones that you see in this drawing. But these are different from the ones that they would wear as uniforms. These were only worn to cover their faces. This next picture shows a fight with a Ku Klux Klan member and an African American. In the back, you can see another man holding up a sign saying "White Lives Do Matter," which shows he was protesting at the event. These 3 people were assassinated by the Ku Klux Klan for hating segregation. This caused a ton of conflicts because all they wanted was equality for all races. The consequence for the Ku Klux Klan members that did this were greatly punished. One of them went to jail for 60 years. I can no longer find the date that he went to prison, but I remember doing the math, and he will be in prison until 2024. That's my project on the history fair. KKK murders, conflict, and compromise. Here's a video to tell you more about it.
We're in the deep woods of Mississippi. It's about 9 p.m. Not many people get to see this ritual.
People have called us the Taliban. Come on. In some ways, we can relate to Islamic extremists just like we are Christian extremists because they're fighting a holy war and so are we. Klansmen, salute the cross. Klansmen, behold the fiery cross, still brilliant. We do not burn but light the cross to signify that Christ is the light of the world.
The Ku Klux Klan, by most people's estimation, it was considered a relic of times gone by. But indeed, the Klan's out and recruiting again.
God give us men who will not flinch at duty and who will not lie. God give us men, amen. Amen. Klansmen, for God. For God. For the United States Marine Corps.
For the United States Marine Corps.
Klansmen, for the U.S. Army.
For the U.S. Army.
Do you believe there's been any targeting of vets and the recruitment of these hate groups?
Absolutely. There is a recruitment effort aimed at not only those that are still on the bases, but also those that are coming out of their time of serving and duty. And many of these hate groups come in and very conveniently offer them a very skewed sense of reality and what the problems are.
White power!
White power!
White power!
White power!
White power!
White power!
After witnessing a cross burning and hearing the Klan was actively recruiting young veterans returning home from Afghanistan and Iraq, we traveled to Montgomery, Alabama, to the offices of the Southern Poverty Law Center, an anti-hate organization that keeps a close watch on Klan activity, to meet with their spokesperson, Mark Potok.
There is a very high degree of interest on the part of Klan groups in returning military veterans with high-end military skills that they think will be useful to them one day.
We're at a time where pretty much everyone's cycling out. Many soldiers of Iraq and Afghanistan, they've got all these guys, a lot of them with PTSD. Do you see that being a concern in the coming years of this pool of former soldiers?
Yeah, look, I mean, first of all, I think it's worth saying that, veterans as a group shouldn't be defamed, but there's no doubt that a lot of these men are coming back traumatized with serious PTSD and other problems. The economy is not good, they're not getting jobs, so they come home to a situation that is not very good for them. And I think that what some veterans find in these groups is family.
Homemade brandies. We also got cupcakes.
This is the 4th of July. We're celebrating 4th of July. You got the KKK and you got the Arabs in the same park. Hey, where's the chips at? I'm gonna take him Arabs some chips. Be nice to them, let them have some chips. Hey, would you like some chips? I think they're praying. They're praying to Mecca. I can't do that. They're praying. Muslims and the Klan. I walked over there, I was gonna give the Muslims some chips, and they're over there praying.
I don't like Muslims at all. I'd just as soon spit on them if they were on fire and walk off.
Did you feel that strongly about it before you served?
Not before I served, you know.
You were in combat in Iraq.
We worked our way from Kuwait City all the way up to right there on the borders, Iraq and Iran. I've got a Purple Heart, I got a Bronze Star with V device. I've got 3 Army Commendation medals, and then several other good conduct medals and things like that. A lot of people don't grasp what a vet goes through, what he's been through. And you say Klan to somebody and they automatically think, y'all hate black people. But you know, you get to know these guys and it's like a sense of belonging. It's like you found brothers and sisters you never knew you had.
Veterans finding a home in the Klan and other hate groups is not a new phenomenon, especially in the eyes of organizations such as the NAACP. We spoke with Hillary Shelton, the NAACP's Washington Bureau Director, for some historical perspective on the ebb and flow of Klan activity throughout the years.
Hate groups have recruited in the armed services from the very beginning of our society. Even the Ku Klux Klan was created by Confederate generals. They were disillusioned with the ending of the war as it was. They grabbed that Dixie battle flag and went out to create Night Riders, which of course was the precursor to the Klan anyway. So all those components have been part of that scenario for a long time.
Throughout its 150-year history, the KKK has manifested itself in 3 distinct iterations, with its membership surging at the end of major conflicts. The first iteration was established during the Reconstruction era, following the Civil War. The second, following World War I, swelled the Klan's ranks to well over 3 million. The third and most ideologically extreme version of the Klan came after World War II, with the aim of disrupting the civil rights movement, and carried on well into the 90s. Besides white robes and hoods, the other thing these 3 iterations had in common was their recruitment of disenfranchised and troubled young men returning home from combat who were struggling with adapting to the societal changes happening in America. Later that day, we headed off to meet Steve, who claims to be a former Marine who served in the war in Afghanistan. He also says he's been a member of the KKK since he was 18 years old.
When did you know and how did you know that you want to join the Klan?
About 9 or 10 years old. My mother brought home a movie called Mississippi Burning. I seen these white people standing strong and asked my mother, I said, Mother, who are these guys? My mother said, that's the Ku Klux Klan. And then right after then, I remember having dreams of a church with nothing but Klansmen in it. I always had a fascination with the Klan. I think a lot of it was growing up during the 90s and seeing the riots and O.J. Simpson. The O.J. Simpson was the first time that I ever experienced race. I think blacks took that as a way, this is our guy here. This is a guy that we're gonna stand behind O.J. We're gonna get off. And the whites were like, I can't believe that a savage like that's gonna get off for what he did to these innocent people, murdering innocent white people. And this was the first time that I ever noticed there's something different here between whites and blacks. When I enlisted, my views become more hardcore. I became a very angry person when I served. And I still have a lot of problems with my anger because of it.
Does the Klan actively look to recruit vets or current military?
But we'll recruit veterans. We will recruit anybody that serves their country.
Are they particularly appealing, vets and people are trained?
The training they have and stuff like that, it helps us in a lot of ways. The way you're handling a firearm, improvising, that's the best people. And I believe that if we don't stand up and take a stand here soon, that my children are gonna be raped and murdered.